Hi, I'm Linnea.
And I'm Veronica, and we're librarians at the Larchmont Public Library.
We read a lot of books over the year, and we want to talk to you about some of our favorites.
Evie lives in Blight Harbor, the most haunted town in America, and her aunt Desdemona is an expert on the paranormal, so it's safe to say that Evie has seen her fair share of ghosts. When her aunt tells her to stay away from the abandoned slaughterhouse on the outskirts of town, Evie is curious. What's the worst that could happen? Well, she's about to find out. When her aunt goes missing, Evie will have to face off with the horrible creature that lives in the slaughterhouse called the Clackety. To find her aunt, Evie will have to enter the Clackety's twisted world, where the sun is black and nothing is as it seems. She needs to visit 7 houses one by one and find the key inside each one, but the houses will do their best to try and stop her. Even worse, Evie's not alone. She's being followed by the ghost of a serial killer called John Jeffrey Pope. Evie's aunt will be in the last house, and she needs to get there before the serial killer catches up to her. And she really doesn't want to find out what happens when the sun goes down. The Clackety by Laura Senf is really spooky, and it's a great book for fans of horror.
If you like Percy Jackson or The Unwanteds, or you're just looking for a good fantasy book to read, I really liked Winnie Zhang, Unleashes a Legend. That's the first book in the Winnie Zhang series. It's about a girl named Winnie who's the best at everything. She's the best in school, she's the best at Chinese school, and she's the best at the piano, or at least she tries to be. But every time she tries to be the best, this other boy in her class, all her classes, even Chinese school, David, is also trying to be the best. So Winnie works really hard to try to impress her parents and be the best and try to beat David. So one day the school has a bake sale, and so Winnie decides she's gonna make the best snack for the bake sale. So she finds her grandmother's cookbook and decides she's gonna make mooncakes. So she makes the mooncakes, and to see if they're okay, she tries one. And while she's eating hers, she doesn't notice, and her pet rabbit, Jade, sneaks up and nibbles one of the mooncakes. She notices and she gets really, really worried. Maybe eating mooncakes will be poisonous to a rabbit. She doesn't know. So she goes to check on Jade, and not only is Jade fine, Jade starts talking. And Jade doesn't just start talking as Jade. Jade starts talking in her grandmother's voice. Apparently, her grandmother's recipe for mooncakes is magic, and it allows her grandmother's spirit to attach itself to her pet rabbit. So now her pet rabbit is a talking grandma. And her grandmother tells her that Winnie has inherited a special secret power. She is a shaman. That means she can see spirits and she can get rid of evil spirits. And her grandma, the rabbit, is gonna show her how. So now not only does Winnie have to try to be the best at everything, she's also learning how to fight evil spirits. It's a really hard thing to do. If you wanna know what happens, you're gonna have to read the rest of the book. So one of my favorite graphic novel series that I found last year is called Unsolved Case Files. It's the name of the series. And this one is called Escape at 10,000 Feet. It tells the true story of an incident that happened in 1971. A man got on a plane and he went under the name D.B. Cooper. He passed a note to one of the flight attendants on the plane saying he had a bomb. And he demanded $200,000 and 4 parachutes when the plane landed. So the plane landed in Seattle. He let everybody get off except the crew. They got somebody to bring him a backpack with the $200,000 and the 4 parachutes, and he had the plane refueled and he had them take off and fly again. And while they were flying, he jumped off the plane with the 4 parachutes and the $200,000, and he was never seen again. About 10, 11 years later in the 80s, some boys were out camping and they found some money buried in the ground. And it turns out that this was a portion of the money that D.B. Cooper had stolen buried, but it was only a little bit. So since that day, nothing's ever been found. Nobody knows who D.B. Cooper is. Nobody's found any of the parachutes or any of the other money. I found that really fascinating, so this is a really interesting look into that case.
The graphic novel When Pigs Fly is the first book in the Bat Pig series by Rob Harrell. Gary is just a regular pig. He reads comic books, he plays video games, and he hangs out with his friends. But one day, Gary's boring life is turned upside down when he is bitten by a radioactive bat and becomes Bat Pig. On top of getting the hang of flying, super strength, and moving things with his mind, Gary also has to find a superhero outfit that can fit his booty. He starts out flying around stopping robberies and preventing people from littering, but soon Gary must use his newfound superpowers to stop terrifying supervillains like Rectoman and the Butcher. And when the Butcher finds out that Bat Pig's kryptonite is the smell of sizzling bacon, Gary and his friends will need to get creative. This book is hilarious, and it's a great book to read if you like Dogman and Cat Kid and you're ready for something new.
One of the most interesting nonfiction books I found out this year was called Ambush: The Assassination Plot Against President Garfield. It is about the man named Charles Guiteau who shot President Garfield. He was very strange and disturbed and kind of stalked the president and then shot him in July 1881. President Garfield lived for 11 more months and sadly died in July of 1881. And Charles Guiteau was taken and charged with the crime of assassination. But during the time, the 11 months that President Garfield was alive, he got very sick because the bullet from the shooting was left in his body. So doctors around the country tried to figure out ways of finding the bullet. And this was back in the day when medicine wasn't as good as it was now. There were a lot of unwashed hands, unwashed medical instruments, some strange ideas, some gross ideas about how to get this bullet out. And that kind of led to President Garfield's death. So if you like interesting medical stories or interesting crime stories, this is a good read for you.
If you've ever wondered how a meerkat would order pizza, this is the book for you. This book is full of wild facts about animals around the world and the scientists who study them. What I loved about this book is that it's full of cute and funny animal cartoons, but I still learned a lot. I learned that Yeti crabs have big hairy arms and they eat the bacteria that grows on them. I learned that crows can actually recognize people's faces and they'll remember if they think of you as an enemy or a friend. And I learned that a scientist who studies Japanese snow monkeys used real and fake poop to figure out if monkeys could get grossed out the way that people do. If you'd like to learn cool animal facts like these, check out How Do Meerkats Order Pizza by Brooke Barker.
Hopefully you found some of those books interesting.
There are a lot more books that we didn't have time to talk about, and your teacher will give you a list.
Come visit us at the library if you have any questions, and we hope to see you soon. Bye!